So what practicum are you in?
I'm in the first practicum. It's just the general creating content for the paper, thinking of ideas, stuff like that. So my main roles and responsibilities would include hitting deadlines, making sure my stories are done in time so that we can do layout for them and make sure that the papers go out on time. I also take part in thinking of story ideas, whether it's something I end up writing or someone else ends up writing. So those are the main responsibilities, would just be creating the content, and then that would include going to interviews, meeting with people, talking to them about whatever the story is. This semester doing this practicum, I've realized how much I like thinking of story ideas. I've realized how much I like opinionated ones because I like putting my own input into things. It usually depends on the story I'm writing. A lot of times if I have to go out and find people to interview, it could take, I would say, 6 hours for a story, just in all getting the interview, writing it, and revising it and everything like that. Typically, if it's an opinion, I can usually get those done within a few hours, again, because it's an opinion story, so I don't really need to talk to anybody else about it. Per issue, typically it's 2 to 3, along with pictures, but yeah, usually 2 to 3 stories is what I can do. I don't like to overdo it. I like to put all my effort into a couple stories. Being able to see your name and your friends' names, other reporters in the paper, and being able to know that what you're putting out there is going to be worth something and is going to make an impact on campus, it's completely worth it.
This semester I'm just wrapping up practicum 2. I did the first practicum last semester, and I've moved into the second one, and I'll be going into practicum 3 next semester. Once you come into practicum 2, the roles have shifted a bit. I'm still responsible for, I believe it was 4 large feature stories, so they're much bigger than the stories that I was doing in practicum 1. But in addition to that, you take on the responsibilities of editing other people's work, and so before publication, I'm editing through all of the practicum 1 students' work, and so I get a chance to kind of, it's really this class is a little bit more about finessing and breaking down structures and even restructuring articles, and it really gets you thinking a bit more about how writing works and how you put stories together. Since you have done practicum 1, you've done some of this stuff, there is an element of mentoring for the practicum 1 students who may not have used programs like InDesign, Photoshop, or Lightroom. You're responsible for the look and feel of every page. It's not something that one person does, and so you can show up to a class, and if you don't do your paper, your assignment, that falls on you. But when you show up in practicum and you don't carry your own weight, you're really responsible to all of your teammates.
So what practicum are you in?
I'm not in a practicum. I am a student worker here on campus. I did 3 semesters of practicum. They don't offer that anymore. You take the 2, and then after that it becomes electives. And I fell in love with the paper after my second semester, my second practicum, and I decided to take this on as a student worker. Anybody has that option if they'd like to, and it's great. I love it. My responsibilities here right now are making sure that our production gets out on time. I oversee the staff of students that work in the practicums or as student workers. We have a mixture of both. I edit. I make sure stories get in on time. I make sure that reporters have their stories assigned. All of the campus news comes to me, and I disperse it how I feel like could best be reported on by our staff. I think my favorite aspect of it now, though, is kind of the community that it brings with the rest of the communication department. I mean, it's kind of a given. You're in the communication department, you're going to communicate and make friends. But having a central hub where we can all come in this office and create something together is really nice. And it probably sounds kind of cheesy, but it's like all of our babies. And it's a good thing for everybody, I think. It's a hands-on experience that you don't get outside of an internship, and I think that's huge, and it's applicable to your degree and to what will potentially be your career. And I think that's huge. And I don't want anybody to come into this thinking that they're going to have to sit down and take notes or listen to a lecture. You're here to learn, and the best way to do that is with practice.